Sam, I am.
Sam, I am. I do not like green eggs and ham.
That's right. So that's interesting. That's
Green
one of
eggs
the
and
biggest
ham?
problems that aspiring internet entrepreneurs have is the unwillingness to try new and weird things. Unsure of whether or not it's going to be for you, or whether or not you're going to like it, or whether or not it's going to be the kind of thing that works for your business. And that level of unwillingness to try and see what happens is absolutely, this was not pre-scripted, right? We just decided the title of our video today was going to be, what's the biggest problem aspiring internet entrepreneurs are facing right now? Like a minute and a half ago. And
and I wouldn't even necessarily say it's like internet entrepreneurs facing the issue. I think it if anything, internet entrepreneurs are usually more flexible when it comes to trying new breakthrough things, and we like to be on the cutting edge and try that type of things. I think that may be what people are battling, moving from, the offline environment where they're used to, things. And this is like, ooh, what is this strange new thing called the internet?
It's fear of change.
Yeah.
Right? It's fear of change. And if you've had a business that has been working the same way for a decade or more, a few decades, and now change is thrust upon you. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, my dad's a dentist. Change. Okay. Right. He's had some change in his business. And,
sure.
And it's the kind of thing where businesses are shutting down, where lifelong careers are ending. And for some people, that means early retirement. And for others, that's not going to happen. And it means another career or another job or another business or something, right?
Yeah, they've got to adapt what they're doing currently, regardless of how it ends up shifting.
So fear of the unknown, fear of not, internet entrepreneurs, at least like first, second, even third generation internet entrepreneurs, were making it up completely. And technology's changing so quickly that we're all still making this up. But there are people who love jumping into the fray. They love the uncertainty. They love not knowing what's going to happen. They love being pioneers. They love cutting, like breaking trail, right?
Yep.
And then there are people that don't even want to get on the trail, right? They're way more interested in the sidewalk, right? Yeah. And so, but when the sidewalk ends, another childhood book reference, little Shel Silverstein. When the sidewalk ends, like, where are you going to go, right?
Which one is that? I'm not familiar. The only Shel Silverstein that I'm familiar with is The Giving Tree.
A Light in the Attic. Well, see, it's because I'm younger, right? Like I had more Shel Silverstein books probably in my elementary school than you did, is my guess.
Did you do any of Where the Wild Things Are on a completely weird tangent?
What about Where the Wild Things Are?
Did you a kid? I went to school with Maurice Sandak's nursery school with his daughter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway,
cool.
Just an interesting side note.
My dad went to college with the daughter of the guy that invented Bacos.
Bacos? The
bacon bits. So
funny. That's awesome.
People are really funny. So,
we used to say in New York, that and $1 or that and 75 cents will get you a Subway token.
That's right. Good morning,
Although,
Gene.
I have no idea what it is now. What are Subway tokens going for these days?
Dude, I live in Vermont. Come on.
Oh, good point. Duh.
No. I don't remember. I mean, when I go to New York, I just run the card. I don't even look. Something.
What's up?
That's right.
You looking to bring that back, Gene?
So let's think about some of the biggest challenges and problems that people who are going online face, right? So there are a few different types of people that are trying to build internet businesses and different reasons that they're trying to do that, right?
Right.
One is someone who hates their job and or just got fired and is desperate to make money somehow, and they're looking to go to the internet to make some easy money.
Right.
Or because they have to work from home now, which is interesting, right? Is like a whole bunch of people have lost their jobs and now they have to work from home, and maybe they're not going to start their business, but they're going to look toward the internet for their income, and because there are
Right.
more work at home jobs now, and both freelance and employed positions than there've ever been in the history of humanity. Right. So that's two different types of people that are looking for their income from the internet in
Yeah,
some way, shape, or form.
right. They've got to change careers, and whether that's for themselves a career change, like working for yourself as a career change, or a career change in how they're doing their work.
That's right. Then there's another type of person, and Gene, you're absolutely right. Brick
Yep.
and mortar working with their email list for the first time, or their phone number list, or whatever it may, maybe their direct mail list. Brick and mortar who have to get a decentralized or leveraged ability to bring customers
Right.
in because the foot traffic just isn't there anymore, at least for the time being.
Right.
At some point, it's going to come back, but who knows, right?
Yeah, and what's that gonna? How's that interim shift gonna affect the way foot traffic? I mean, are a lot of the people going to realize that they prefer to do some of the things that they were doing with the foot traffic online because of this training that has taken place?
Gene, bring a piece of Florida home to you during the lock. I know you want to have everything remain positive, so you might hate my idea, but you are creating Florida art, and people can't go to Florida because it's pandemic, and because pandemic in Florida is crazy. Or at least it was. I haven't been completely keeping up with everything, but still, a lot of people who would normally go and visit Florida right now aren't, right? That would be a great spin for you. People would love it. People would love taking a little piece of Florida home.
Yeah, and just traveling in general, right? Like it's a fantasy vacation, or take it home. Yeah, I love that idea, Tillman.
That's right. That's right. You could do a whole thing where they could get Florida, seasonal Florida art for their whole house, and this could be part of your package thing. Every quarter, the seasons change, and they get 10 new paintings and 5 throw pillows and some blankets, and that are all printed with a
limited edition.
Yeah, quarterly, a quarterly subscription box of completely unique Gene coastal art, just in case you're interested. Okay, so Gene is one of our clients, actually, and she is a phenomenal artist. She does one-of-a-kind work as well as reproductions of her work, various types of print-on-demand, coloring books, all sorts of cool stuff, mostly coastal-themed. And she's been building her list. She's been building her Facebook group. She's been doing Facebook Lives every single day and really getting the word out there. So it's really, really, really awesome. And it's great to see you rocking it. And I guess these are, that's right. Gene says, shit, I got to get busy.
You could tell my influence on her, right?
That's right.
With the potty mouth.
Exactly. That's funny. So, I'm curious. One thing we haven't talked a lot about, Gene, is how, in particular in Florida, how how the bikini shop has been affected in terms of foot traffic and business and consistency and so on. Because of course, Florida has all sorts of interesting shifts that have changed, many, many times over the course of the last several months, including spring break, including summer, right, and outbreaks and all these things. And so I'm very curious about on that local business. And you might not wish to comment on it, which is also legit if you don't want to get into that. But I'm curious about foot traffic and how that's been impacted in that type of a business in that particular location, right? So we have people are starting new businesses and or finding new careers online. We have brick and mortar businesses.
What do you think is holding people back? I mean, like systemically. Besides the standard.
I don't know. I don't think it's the same thing. I honestly don't. I think there are different things that hold people back depending on their come from, right? Depending on their experience and where they're at. I don't think that maybe there's a universal answer,
No, I'm not looking for a universal answer. I'm just curious from your perspective and anybody watching what they feel is the in this day and age with all the things that are going on. I mean, yes, there's always things that hold people back on different levels for different reasons, but I'm just wondering what they are. What the
here's something that I've seen. So let's just talk about internet millionaires for a minute. Okay. And I don't know of at least an internet millionaire who hasn't made it and lost it at least once. Okay.
Yes.
And then some people make it again and again, and some people it goes bigger and bigger, and some people are better investing long term and doing things that work over a longer period of time to grow things. But
most successful, by the way, entrepreneurs, period, that have become millionaires have made it and lost it an average of 3 times. And that was before the internet. That was based on that study. So, you add the internet to it and all the change that gets thrown at you. And a lot of people, first timers, end up having the success, and then it can explode just as fast.
Yeah, it's true. But when you make $1 million cash on the internet without any hard goods to pay out, or without having to go into debt to buy your products and manufacture them and create them or whatever ahead of time, it's mind boggling. And so in terms of when we say what's holding people back, I'm going to say, well, let's set the bar. What's success? Well, one bar for success is somebody that makes over $1 million in a year with their business. And we're saying, let's say they've done that online at least one time. That's a pretty successful person overall.
Yes.
And I've been in this 17 years. You've been in it 23 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 23.
The people, now I've not met everyone who's been successful on the internet, far from it. And I'm not the most social person in the world, and I don't go to all the seminars all the time. But I still know thousands and thousands and thousands of the biggest influencers in the internet and personal development industries online, and have cell phones and emails and I'm connected with everybody, And so the people that I've seen be successful online up at that level either started businesses before and had some business experience starting and failing and trying again and failing and trying again and failing, or they were high performers in a career prior to basically leaving Wall Street, prior to leaving the corporate.
One percenters or 2 percenters, but they're in a job situation.
Yeah, but they're still ass kickers.
Right. No, of course. So, you don't get to be in the upper echelons of income without being an ass kicker on some level.
That's right. That's right. And so one of the things that I think is holding people back from being more successful, I know that this sounds so arrogant, but I truly believe it's that they're not trying hard enough. And I think it's because they don't realize they can't.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. But I think now there's another piece of this that, because of the uncertainty of the times, the sign of the times, adding that all in there, I think what's happening is that people feel that uncertainty. They're fish out of water, and yet they, the idea of making $1 million a year isn't on their radar at all, even if they've made it offline. Their idea is how the hell do I keep my nut afloat? How do I make my nut this month?
Right.
And, oh my God, what if, if my nut is $5,000 this month, or if my nut is, $50,000 this month, doesn't matter. They're still worried in that fear-based, how do I make this happen? Yes.
Okay. So that's whether you have a job or whether you have a business that's basically plateaued and is making as much as you're spending, and you're able to pay your bills, but barely. Right. And so what happens and everyone's threshold for financial insecurity is different, right? Some people have to have $25,000 in savings or they're a complete shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, to have $1,000 in savings is absolutely miraculous. Right. And so people are different. And depending on how you grew up and your personality and how messed up you are in different ways, I mean, there's all sorts there's all sorts of factors, right?
I know.
And so
And I agree.
when we're going for this stuff and when we're trying to build a business, there are cliche terms, right? In order to have a breakthrough, first you have to break something. You know, I think I heard that from Joe Polish. And it's a cool idea, but like, if you're only trying to get by, if you're in survival mode, because you're in survival mode and you need to get by, that's a reality. But if you're only trying to get by all the time, the problem is you're never going to start thinking differently or doing anything differently that's going to pop you out of survival mode and get you out of that $5,000 a month situation or that $2,500 a month situation that you're currently in and up to that $10,000 a month situation that you dream of, but you don't know how the heck you're going to get there.
Yeah, but what about people? And by the way, I want to acknowledge Susan over in the Art of Email Marketing. She and I totally agree that one has to have consistent, persistent determination, and that ties into so many things that we've been talking about. But I think that even if you're used to being an ass kicker,
yeah,
and making shit happen at whatever level that is for you, and you've got supreme confidence in your abilities, and you know what you know, and you can make it happen. What happens when your confidence gets shaken? When you have a crisis of confidence, which is what really is going on right now, no matter what people's beliefs are, if they're venturing into waters they've never been in before, their confidence has been shaken.
And I want to point out that has happened to me several times.
Me too.
Okay, several times, and I completely got decimated for a little while. Okay, yeah. Just on my knees, just completely crushed for a bit until I was able to rebuild my mind, and get things back on track. So there are lots of things that can shake our confidence. We can lose all our money. We can lose our business. We can go bankrupt. We can get our house foreclosed upon. We can lose our marriage.
We can feel like the rug's been pulled out from under us and the rules have changed and we don't know what the new rules are.
Right.
Whatever those subjects are.
All of these things happen, and sometimes they happen concurrently, and that's the best. So
well, and oftentimes though they happen concurrently because you get stuck in that negative spiral, and it just sucks into that negativity, and you don't even know it because you're now all of a sudden trying to protect yourself instead of trying to advance into the trying to be in there is a solution available. I just have to find it. I haven't found it yet. Mode, and
I can only say what works for me. And it doesn't work immediately, which makes it easy to give up on. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so what works for me personally is, number one, more scheduled live meetings with people who are operating at a higher level than I am in the area that I'm trying to improve in. So if I am stuck in a rut with my running, that means I need more regularly scheduled running dates
people that are
with a running partner or a group where I'm expected to show up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in full agreement with you. I'm the same way, and having that like accountability to somebody else, what I used to call DODs, do or die deadlines, right? But the key for me was like having not a deadline that I set for myself, but a deadline that I set for myself and then publicly interact with somebody where they're expecting it from me. Now, like it's easy, for some reason, it's easy to break a promise to yourself. But when I've got to, deliver on whatever I've committed to delivering on, then I'm going to be much, much more, what did Susan say? Consistent, persistent, and determined to make things happen,
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree. It increases things for me as well. So let's talk about these live videos as an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a program called 99 Days that teaches you the amazing art of daily live streaming to start creating a consistent habit in your life to improve your life in some way. A lot of our 99 Days members will live stream every day in order to grow their business and get in the
Right.
habit of communicating with their people, creating content for their people, get over being camera shy, learn how to build their social media following, et cetera, et cetera. Start getting
And it's a great form of organic traffic.
It's an awesome form of organic traffic. It's great practice so that you can really get used to communicating and connecting and talking with your people in a group environment.
Yeah, you showed me. I mean, you showed me the way, the light,
Right.
because I was extremely resistant. I remember you telling me, I think it was in 2017, hey, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, nope. And I'm not scared of the camera.
I know.
But I was like, I'm not doing it.
And so, but here's the thing. I tried several frickin' times to get myself to live stream every day. Not successful. So one thing that I did a few years ago is I had a YouTube channel that I spent like $120,000 on that got shut down. But my YouTube channel is called Dear Tellman. And I did it at this same desk. And my assistant at the time, Danny, would come in and we would have scheduled time every day where it was blocked out on my schedule. He was a local assistant. He worked upstairs. He'd come downstairs. He'd turn on the camera. He'd give me my props. He'd tell me what we were going to talk about and hand me a list of questions that I had to answer. It was like Dear Abby, but it was Dear Tellman.
Yeah.
Like
I love that idea. And frankly, an adaptation of that now would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And so I did that every day. And for over a year, and it was awesome. It was really good. But if he didn't show up, like me getting the whole thing going by myself, I just wouldn't do it. Okay, most of the time. And so I'd get distracted, and then it wouldn't be as important to me. I'd like, I'll get back to it tomorrow. You know.
Right.
And
well, look what transpired with us. I mean, when you and I are serious about it and we schedule it in, and it's a commitment to each other, then we make it happen.
That's right. That's right. And when we don't, sometimes it happens.
Right.
Right? When we feel like it. And so...
Which I never do.
Right.
But I love doing it now. You know,
That's
like
right.
I love the activity of doing this and bringing it out and which is weird, but I never want to do it when when it's not scheduled.
Right. Right. So that's just a prime example. For me to get momentum in my business, what I like to do is talk to at least one person every day that makes more money than I do. Okay. And have like a good, solid, intelligent, interactive, inquisitive, thought-provoking conversation about marketing, about business, about copywriting, about superheroes, about mascots, about sometimes spirituality, personal development, but often about marketing and business in some way, shape, or form. And when I do that, what happens is more deals start happening. I start getting invited to more webinars. I start getting invited to speak on more podcasts. I start getting invited to speak at more events. I get more cross promotions that happen. My list starts building. But when I don't do that, a lot of that momentum dies off.
Right.
So what makes the difference? That's what makes the difference for me is scheduling it in with other people. I want to give you another example. This is an awesome example. I've been talking about it a lot lately. We're on the 4th week of training my kids. So my kids and a couple of their friends were like, yo, we've been basically sitting at home all summer. I haven't been able to go out nearly as much. It's getting a little bit better now, but I haven't been able to go out nearly as much, spend way too much time in front of the screen. We're all getting out of shape, and my son's like turning 14, so he's starting to care a little bit about how he looks, and his friends are kind of the same way, and they want to start exercising. And they asked me to exercise with them and to train them. And I was like, yes, of course. I've been trying to get them to exercise every day for years, but I just gave up on it because they refused. And so we're on our 4th week of training at 8:30 a.m., and it's been going really, really, really good. There's a small gaggle of socially distanced kids that are running barefoot. We're doing push-ups. We're doing sit-ups. We're doing leg lifts. We're doing
my favorite burpees.
We're doing burpees. And first, let me tell you the result of this, though. The result is that I'm getting up earlier. I'm showing up on time. I'm exercising my core and upper body more than I have in years, because normally I just run and I don't do any upper body exercises because I love to run and I don't like doing all the other stuff. So I don't. It's just me most of the time, right?
Right.
But these guys want to build muscle mass and lose weight and all these things. So I'm like, all right, guys, I'll support you in this, and it's been great. It's been years since I've done burpees. And then the parents of some of these other kids are just enormously grateful that I'm showing up and helping these kids get in better shape and learn how to do it and learn how to push themselves physically and mentally and everything else. So,
yeah, I just want to point something out here. The brilliance of Jim Rohn always pops to mind. I think he's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everything brilliant in the personal development world, I think, can be traced back to Jim Rohn. And one of the things that he said that always stuck with me was that every discipline affects every other discipline. So if you get up in the morning and you make that discipline to make your bed, then that carries over to everything else. And if you will recall, when you and I decided to meet every weekday at 8 o'clock in the morning.
A few months ago, we decided to start doing Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. meetings, right?
Right. And that was the door opening, I believe, for you to be able to take on with the kids at 8:30. Otherwise, I don't know that discipline would have unfolded at that time. Maybe another time of the day.
I've been basically like single bachelor style for the last couple of years, and it's been very weird because I was in a 22-year relationship, 10-year marriage, have 2 kids, the whole thing. And so all of a sudden I was basically like freestyle single telnet all of a sudden. It was just very weird. And so I was staying up late, getting up late, whenever I woke up, the whole thing. It's not like I was out partying or anything, but I was not.
No, but you just get into the routine of that lifestyle.
Yeah. My awake and sleep hours, my routine, my sleep routine and my eating routine completely went out the window, which meant, and I already struggle enough with routine. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's really nice.
That what you're talking about right now also, I gotta believe, is a challenge given the intensification of what's going on and the times of that with routine, with figuring out how to if you don't have a routine for yourself or a process or a system to plug into, then you've got to you got to be wondering, like, well, how do I set up this discipline? How do I set up the routine when I'm trying to figure out this internet thingy?
I will tell you that another thing that makes a huge difference are a few good vitamins, supplements, and/or nootropics. I'm not actively taking nootropics outside of cordyceps. I've taken a lot of nootropics in the past for optimized brain function and have scratched the surface with biohacking and some of this kind of stuff. But simply, guys, if you're not doing this with your breakfast, when you get up in the morning, have a big glass of water, take a couple of multivitamins, whatever it is you need, whatever your thing is. If you're just into simplicity, take some multivitamins and a nice big glass of water and keep it simple. But like, if you want to go and spend several $100s a month on supplements and you're all super into it, I think that's great too. But getting your mind and body the nutrients that it needs makes it so much easier to have high quality thinking, high quality work, high quality conversations, high quality meetings. And again, that comes back down to that daily routine: is do you or don't you take your vitamins and supplements when you eat breakfast first thing in the morning?
Yeah,
makes a huge.
I just wonder, I wish that we could ask everybody, like, how they handle routine and how that's affecting, because that seems like a big one that I hadn't thought about before. The fear of, not having a system or the routine to plug into, or besides taking on a brand new way of doing business, when you think about, like that kind of fish out of water mentality. But how do you then account for the routine? I mean, whether you own your own business and you have your routine down and you know what you need to do to make the things happen, now that's not working anymore. But also, if you're working in another job very successfully, they have a structure around them that, that maybe that's a big piece of what people struggle with when thinking about starting their own gig online, to some degree.
I'm thinking about a special report called "How to Work from Home," right? Like, but basically, it's like, how do you work from home? Making that transition is.
But I mean, like
very hard.
let's just put aside all the skill building and all the marketing and entrepreneurial stuff for a minute, and as it pertains to the internet, and talk about like how the process of having a set routine or something of that nature to plug into. I wonder how much pain and anticipation of pain is coming from being fearful of not knowing how to set up the right structure for them, that they can then have the success and learn all the stuff that needs to be learned, and then make that trend, that shift online.
How we were talking about how much being an ass kicker of some sort, like in your own area, like a genuine high performer, it's a huge advantage. But
Sure.
by nature, not everybody's going to have it. So if you're not that like super intense, aggressive, like always win mentality, then can you win at building a business online? You totally can.
Yeah, because that's not me. Never has been.
That's right. But one of the interesting things is when you look at the idea of who has been coached successfully in the past in some area of their life to a high performance skill level, whether or not you're an athlete, right? But generally, when we think about coaching, right, as kids anyway, it's in an athletic sense, right? Are you able to take instruction, and are you able to work out and do the drills and do the routines even when your coach isn't there, even when no one's looking over your shoulder? Some people will go and keep doing the workouts at home without the coach being there.
Yep.
Some people won't, right?
Correct.
And huge factor to know about yourself. Do you need someone? Do you need an overseer in order to get you to do your thing, or can you get yourself to do it on your own? Really important question.
Yeah, I mean, like the ass kicker aspect of it, I'm really been pondering that and thinking about it. And I really think it comes down to your confidence in your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And, your ability in whatever the subject matter is. I'm not talking about business or whatever, but if you have confidence in yourself, that you're moving towards something, that you have confidence that you can figure out, or that you've done before, or that, that you have the confidence that, hey, I can dick this, I can get this done, I can figure this out.
That's right.
That goes a long way, and whether that's defined as eat or be eaten mentality, or kill or be killed, or competition, whatever. I don't know that at the core of it, I think that everybody, whether they're that kick-ass person that you're talking about, has subjects in their life at certain points in their life where they've had that supreme confidence on something.
Right. And, one of the things about confidence to keep in mind is that it needs to be backed up with competence, right? Is that having confidence without competence is arrogance, right? And
Correct.
So, yeah.
Well, and at the core of arrogance really is insecurity, because you're bolstering up, you're acting as if, and you don't really truly believe it. So you've got that fear underlying it, and that's what's driving it. I'm just talking about like a genuine, like people that are genuinely confident in something. They don't have to prove anything.
That's right.
Like, I got this, like done deal. Let's make that happen. Even if they don't know all the different aspects of it, and there's no sense of push or have to show off or have to, make it so. It is so because I said so.
That's right. So, for those of you watching, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now that are preventing you from starting or growing your internet business? Or for those of you who are further down in the path, what is the biggest challenge that you faced, that you had to overcome in order to move and make that transition from really digging in and building that business the right way? Is it Is it lack of confidence? Do you not believe in yourself? Is it that you need some sort of a clear path or system or set of instructions? Is that what you feel that you need? Do you... Ooh, instructions.
Life's instruction manual. The Internet Guide to the Galaxy, or whatever that Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
That's right. That's right. We did several issues of the Marketer's Guide to the Galaxy at one point. It's pretty funny. It's a newsletter. It didn't last.
It's similar idea though.
I hired a comic book artist. It was great. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about, okay, when I first learned this stuff, it wasn't really a bricks and mortar business because there was no building, but I had a salsa company, and I produced my own salsa and sold my own salsa. It had been around for about 5 years, limping by, okay? Mm-hmm. It basically did not produce any profit, but it was great salsa. So it was worth it.
Right.
And I figured with enough time that I put into it, I'd figure out how to make it profitable. I couldn't do it at the time, or at least I couldn't do it back then with what I knew. But it still existed, and I had finished college. I was deeply in debt. I was actually like $160,000 in debt. I was, at that point, a full-time hypnotist working for myself.
Was that debt because of the business, school, or all of the above?
Business, credit card, a long life of not knowing how to manage money.
But like that didn't include like student loans, did it?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I was working my ass off as a hypnotherapist, seeing clients every day, 6 days a week, sometimes 8 to 10 clients a day. And there were the free sessions where I was introducing people, or there were paid sessions that people signed up for after they had a free session. And I was busting my balls. I was going full force. I was in my 20s. It was okay. I didn't have any kids yet. And like, wasn't anything else that I wanted to be doing, So I wanted to become a full-time hypnotherapist, and I finally cracked the code and figured it out. And in my small town, I was tired of the local economy. All my friends had to work like 3 part-time jobs.
Right.
And I liked the town, but there was no good money here. Like my career as a hypnotherapist wasn't going anywhere locally. I'd reached my goal, but like it wasn't what I wanted. Right. I set the wrong goal. So I was like, how can I really what I needed to do is I needed to figure out how to not only make more money per hour I spent working, but I had to learn the art of how to make my time how to make your time more valuable.
And then how to transcend the need for time to be valuable, period. I mean, it's got to start there with time,
right.
But then how to transcend it so that it's not your time that's producing the income.
So I had to figure out how to make my time more. I've stuck because I was working my ass off. I was working 60, 80 hours a week, and I didn't know how to break free. And I was like, instead of selling my time, if I can figure out how to sell hypnosis CDs, recordings of my hypnosis sessions, and I was learning about marketing. I was reading Mark Joyner's stuff. Mm-hmm. I was on Nitro Marketing's email list, and like I was reading some Joe Vitale stuff because he was a hypnotist and a copywriter, right? And I was starting to learn about marketing, but I wasn't making any money online. And I was like, I've got to figure out how to sell hypnosis CDs so I can break free from the time for money trap.
Right.
And finding the time to do that and staying consistent about, oh, this is interesting. Watch this. So finding the time to do that and being able to consistently work on how to build a business that would allow me to break free while I was working my ass off just to get by. I was short on time and short on cash. And the only way that I figured out how to do that was by, instead of as a one-on-one coach, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a dentist, as an acupuncturist, as a holistic healthcare practitioner, anybody that sees clients one-on-one, what happens when you get a no-show? Okay, well, if it's your business that you're running, you're pissed. If you're just working for somebody else and you get paid the same amount either way, you get to take a break. Congratulations. But if you run the business, you're pissed.
Or if you're on commission, if you're performance-based, then you're pissed too, because you did all the energy and effort to get that. And then.
Right. And so what I used to do, like when I was a very young hypnotist, was I'd be angry for a little bit and then I'd go and drink a cup of coffee across the street.
Right.
Sometimes I drink more coffee than others. But I'd still have a chip on my shoulder. And so by the time I got back to my office, I was pissed waiting to see if the next client was even going to show up or not.
Yeah. And what are you going to do to, you're anticipating getting even more pissed because what can happen next?
Yeah.
When it rains, it pours.
Are there kids going to be yelling in the hallway? What's the deal? And that didn't work out. But what did work out was when I realized that the way to make my time more valuable was every single time I had a no-show, I would study marketing. So I'd always bring my home study course or my book or my CD or whatever to the office with me.
Yep.
Set it up on my desk. And the moment I had a no-show, boom, it was marketing time, baby. This is the most valuable time of my day. Goldmine. Just found it. And so I found a way of turning something that sucked into something valuable for me and what I was trying to build toward. And that, again, it's part of the system for that routine and that process where I was able to work that into my schedule in between things in order to start getting some momentum. Right?
Yeah.
So, but finding
I think we're onto something here about the need to be able to plug in or have the confidence that they're leveraging something, not just the knowledge, but like a system to learn the knowledge, the system to, like you're talking about, like having a structure that they can rely on, that's not only going to give them the business savvy necessary to take them where they want to go, but also the structure, the consistency, the accountability, all of that plugged into a scenario that gives them the chance of deploying that, of actually, being consistently consistent in all of this.
Well, that's what NPOD did for me, is when I got the CDs and when I got the workbook.
Hang on, before you go there, Susan just wrote in, that's the one, distractions, develop the narrow focus, and then stay on the path without detouring from the schedule. What do you mean, Susan, about that's the one? Just for my own clarification.
Cool. So one of the biggest things that's helped me over the years, and then I required of all my staff for many, many, many years, was an hour a day education, an hour of day execution. Okay, so in an 8-hour day, you really had about 7 hours of work in theory. And so my entire staff would spend 2 of those hours going through in most cases, either an internet marketing training program, sometimes a book, sometimes a workbook that around their particular customer support or copywriting or tech or whatever. But everyone was constantly going through some sort of a training program to help better them that I paid for. And they'd get themselves educated, and then they would spend an hour implementing what they just learned every single day. And again, build that right into the routine, right? And what happens?
What happens when they didn't have a structure, a company, a boss that made that part of the overall way of life over at OIC, at Overcome Everything? I can see how that would be petrifying to somebody, particularly that by venturing into new waters, they're like, now what?
Oh, to leave that and go on to something else?
Yeah, or the opposite. Like, you know, I mean, like we're talking about like everything has been intensified because of the pandemic without getting all negative and everything. But at the root of that, it's really the uncertainty. But I'm wondering how much of that is the not knowing that they can duplicate whatever was the structure in their world prior to that.
Right.
And how much of it is the actual knowledge versus, you know, the you know, like in the NPod system, I always had like the yin and yang, right? On all the CDs, it was the yin and the yang, where like you have to be equal parts inspiration or you know, like confidence building, the mindset stuff, and also the education, the execution, the what to do and being, but one without the other, it falls to zero. Like, you know, your results fall to zero. But now you add that in there now. I mean, just talk about the structure alone. And I wonder how much of this is the fear of how do I remain consistent? How do I set up these if I've never been, you know, so like somebody that was employed by you, all of a sudden that ends because the rug gets pulled out from under them. And they got used to it. They got productive. Maybe they got dragged into it, kicking and
fire. I mean, it's one of the sucky things.
Yeah, but let's just talk about the people that acclimated and got like really like thrived in that environment.
Yeah.
And you gave them the keys to the kingdom. They really they may have started off kicking and screaming and saying, no way, you know, this is hokey. Maybe they didn't say it to your face, but maybe they, you know, and then all of a sudden within a few months, they became believers because they started to see the results in other areas of their life, blah, 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 their success on the job. And now all of a sudden, let's just say that got pulled out from under them. That structure is no longer there for whatever reason.
Right. And
it's up to them to figure out what's next.
Right.
And so in addition to figuring out what's next, they also have to figure out how to create the right environment. And maybe they don't even realize, because it was invisible to them, what you did for them by having that structure in place.
Right.
That's the part that I think like is, to me, I find so eye-opening in this conversation personally, is that I didn't ever think about the structure being an issue. The system to learn, the system to build, that has to be obviously you know, custom to each person, because we all have different things and different walks of life. But you know, to be able to be consistent, to be able to be persistent, and learn whatever new skills need to be learned. Yes, of course, we all know that by now. But what about the way in which that learning takes place? What about the way in which you know, you can build that confidence back in a, you know, momentuming sort of fashion?
There's an interesting thing about this, right? So if you look at traditional businesses, pre-internet businesses,
Mm-hmm.
let's say pre-internet businesses, an awful lot of them are proven businesses. And one of the things that I absolutely hated about trying to study business for my first 7 failed businesses was I'd read all these business books and I'd be bored out of my freaking mind, because they were not innovation, right? That what I was reading about, what I was looking at is how to do business the right way, right? And like, it made me want to kill myself. And so
yeah,
I'd go to SCORE meetings, you know, and they're very well-intentioned guys, but like, these are all like 70, 75, 80-year-old white guys that they didn't even get the idea behind the salsa company. Now, I had a nose ring and blue hair, so like,
yeah, there was a disconnect there,
you know. But like, I was so bored, I didn't get it. And what I'm realizing here is that so many traditional business owners, or people who've been in jobs or careers where the rules were pretty straightforward, you get on the job training. Okay, if you want to open up a hardware store, like, you can look around at other hardware stores and figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, you apprentice underneath a master of some sort, and
you can work in a hardware store for a few years if you need to, right? If you want to open up a auto repair shop, same deal. If you want to become a hairdresser and you want to open up a salon,
right?
Basically, it's the same deal. You can go to school for it, you can get a job, and to a certain degree, what you see is what you get. Like, these business, like you want to open up a restaurant, great, make some good food, charge for it, do it within health code. Okay, got it, right? But internet businesses, here's the thing. There's not a lot of on the job training because you're sitting by yourself in your house, in your own bubble, pushing this whole thing forward, and you don't really have much feedback from anybody else in most cases.
Yeah, I mean, not to get too far off tangent, but I believe that that's one of the reasons why internet entrepreneurs struggle with depression, struggle with loneliness, and that lack. And that's a very common thing in that isolation feeling. And this is coming from a self-proclaimed proud hermit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I love what Susan said there. Go ahead and read it out if you would.
Yeah, it says, it seems when you set a goal, all kinds of things happen during that time to distract. Kids in the hallway, phone calls, etc. All kinds of easier things to do instead of staying on track to accomplish your intended goal. Absolutely true.
Yep.
Gene struggles with distraction. You're in good company, Gene. You're in good company.
So what do you do, Gene, to combat it? And what has been effective, what hasn't been? When you were wondering, like, will NPod consulting work for me? What were your concerns with based on what you had tried before? What were your, I'm just trying to get to the heart, and don't let me put this in words into your mouth, anybody. I just want to know if I'm onto something here with the concern about building a structure that's going to work for you to then learn the stuff, to implement, to deploy, to do all the things that have to be done regardless. How much of a piece of that do you think is, fear about not having, you can have access to the best information, the best knowledge, the best skills, the best trainers in the world. But if you can't implement it yourself, if you can't make it work for you, if you can't learn it effectively,
Right.
That was me. I didn't learn how to read until I was almost 13 years old. I was illiterate in the 6th grade. Figure that out. Thanks, New York City public school systems. But the point is that, until you have a structure that works for you, so all the stuff that was holding me back by not being able to read, right? And it wasn't just I wasn't dumb, I wasn't stupid, but I had none. I jumped in with both feet. Now I shut off Facebook and turn on my focus music. It's been hard lately to stay focused. You mean? Why do you think that is, Gene? Like, what's different lately? So, oh, and I think we're 1 minute away from your appointment, by the way. We got so in depth in this.
Good point. All right. Well, you know what? It's been a great chat.
It really has. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. This was very illuminating to me. I mean, maybe we're onto something, maybe we're not, but for me, like, this had a revelation for me that I wasn't expecting.
Cool. Well, guys, let us know how we can help you out. If you're looking for a little bit more focus, a little bit more structure, and a process to bring your business online, then type "call me" into the comments. Call me and shoot Joshua or I a private message on whatever channel you're watching this on.
Yeah, especially if you see this as the recording and you're not with us live right now.
And we'll ask you some questions and get on a call if it makes sense, and talk with you a little bit about your business and help you really blow things up online if that's the direction you're heading in. All right. That's all for now. Great seeing you, Joshua, Gene.
Likewise, Telman.
Susan, and everyone else. Over and out. Have an awesome afternoon.
Thanks, guys.
Toodaloo.
Bye.